Um, my presentation is going to be rather dull compared to our compatriot Joe Siddick, who had a video and he's very animated, and you can understand why he's the festival director and we are the guys sort of behind the scenes, never seen. Essentially, the presentation will be predicated on a very, very crucial ingredient in all cities, whether creative or otherwise. It's called money. Yes. So we are the agency that has been entrusted with a governmental allocation to catalyze urban regeneration in this wonderful city called Georgetown, Penang, which needs no introduction because Joe has done that for us. Thank you very much. Not working. Emily? Okay, so I'm not going to go through the abstract. Essentially, I'm just going to explain to you in very simple and clear terms what we do, why we're doing it, how we do it, and what are the results of this whole grants program. Okay. This is Penang, Georgetown. What Joe hadn't thoroughly explained to you is that we began as a port city. In fact, we had recently the Deputy Prime Minister of Thailand, who is actually from the Khor family in Penang. And he was there, and then in his introduction, he said, "It is so nice to be back in this place, formerly part of Thailand." And we have this shared heritage with all of you here. And another thing is that, of course, like Chiang Mai, we are the second city to this horrible place, wonderful capital city called Kuala Lumpur. We began as a trading port, and this is the result of British intervention. Otherwise, really, if the British didn't come, all of us in Malaysia will be speaking Thai. Having said that, by a stroke of good fortune, we have Penang, and one of the results is that we have a very active, multi-ethnic, multicultural society. It's also multi-religious, and as a result, civil society in Penang is very, very strong. We take great pride in our city, and now we're extending our love even to the mainland. Basically, we began as a trading port, and we ended up becoming a free trade zone. What this means is that when we got independence, when people in Phuket no longer send their children to be educated in Penang, because you have your own national policy, we all became nation states. What happened was that we had to give up our free port status, and in exchange, we started what's called a free trade zone. And if you recall, this is 1960s. You have got the sari curtain all over India, and you've got the bamboo curtain all over communist China, and the only outlet left for the West to export their manufacturing was basically to Southeast Asia, and the two biggest beneficiaries is Penang and Singapore. And 50% of all your microchips in all the computers in the world is produced in the 1 square mile in Bayan Lepas in Penang. However, as Professor Desmond has very eloquently said in his presentation this morning, the world has changed. Now you have got rising giants like Vietnam, and China has opened its doors. India has become a new center for electronic and electrical production. And a lot of the people who were doing low-cost production in Penang are still staying in Penang, no longer because of cheap labor, but because of talent. And if you recall the earlier presentation on why creative cities, it was it was partly a new engine of growth. It was also partly this whole idea of catalyzing and retaining talent for a new type of economy. So as I explained to you, we started a port city, we became an industrial city, we're hoping to become a knowledge city. This basically is manufacturing plus plus. We don't want to follow the model of the United Kingdom or United States, which now has no mines, no workers, no factories. I think the best model is still the German model, where you still retain high-end production. And therefore, we have Think City. We are a fully owned subsidiary of Khazanah Nasional. Khazanah Nasional is the investment arm of the Malaysian government, which is now actively building a new city 3 times the size of Singapore in Johor called Iskandar. And as an afterthought, as part of the strategic plan, they said, well, what to do with all these other cities, all these smaller cities. And our MD said, I tell you what, I'll give you guys a small amount of money, go to this horrible place called Penang. It's got a lot of civil society. You can't even put a tree up without Joe Siddiq protesting outside. And if you can prove this concept can work, then we'll see about your expansion. So that was how we started out as a pilot program. We promote community-based urban regeneration by providing urban policy thinking, implementing innovative solutions, and driving urban regeneration. So that was, in a nutshell, what we did. And of course, we had this whole economic argument, and we felt that the components for urban regeneration has got to begin with cultural mapping, where I don't have to explain that because previous speakers have explained that already. It was very important to build capacity at the local governmental level, because for the longest time we had this neo-Thatcherite policy of privatizing everything, including thinking. We had physical conservation projects to demonstrate those changes. And finally, we wanted to make sure that the communities had an opportunity to not take over, but reclaim the public spaces. And that's why Joe's program is so inspiring, because really it's getting the community to participate in these programs in the streets themselves. We also decided not to adopt an engineering approach to urban problems and challenges. We said, firstly, who are we to replace all the existing governmental agencies? They are, by right, by legislation, the people responsible to deliver urban solutions. So we adopted a value-based approach to these challenges. We said that we will select projects based on the fact that they adhere to the core principles of being a catalyst, they engender partnerships, they are developmental, they are inclusive, they're sustainable, and of course they are creative. And so my position in this conference is quite interesting, because I think Chiang Mai has just dropped the city out of the creative, but we are a space-based, we take a space-based approach to creative cities. And of course, again, these are the core elements. What I'm going to do is now just quickly run through them and then share with you some of the key lessons that we've learned. So for physical conservation, now we had in 2008 been declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Now this meant that there had to be a new way of thinking with regards to physical conservation. You could no longer sort of take some cement and plaster over your wall. You had to study the bricks and the mortar and everything else. And we were very fortunate because UNESCO came to our aid. Thank you to UNESCO. And they actually came, Kun Montira came and helped us with our grants program. So we decided to take a small grants approach, because the money we had was really very, very small. We had 4,000 buildings, and we had about 20 million ringgit, which is about 4 or 5 million US dollars. It was never going to be successful if we decided to only do 2 or 3 demonstration projects. So we had a small grants program, which we had support from the British Council. because we model ourselves on Edinburgh World Heritage Site. So these are some of the examples. You can see derelict buildings having been completely restored, but with the users, with new users. So these are examples of adaptive reuse. So we did a baseline study, we understood where the derelict buildings were, we then mapped out against the owners, and then after that we propagated the ideas. We also felt that it was important to be very inclusive and to bring in local communities. So we identified community partners who wanted to partner with us. And what you see on the bottom is actually the Cantonese clan house called Toi Shan. We worked with the Asian Coalition for Housing Rights based in Bangkok to institute and to start the idea of reconfiguring the partnership between tenants and property owners. You know, unlike in other parts of Asia, we are a middle-income country, and the challenges are very different. The richer you are, the less likely you want to partner with anyone, right? And we had to find a new way, and when this project was very interesting. It's a row of 10 shop houses, and when we started the engagement, the owners would refuse to even sit and eat with their tenants. You know, there has this huge Chinese clan courtyard in between. So our executive director Hamdan has a saying, slowly, slowly catch the monkey. So slowly, slowly with incentives, it was very interesting because we had 10 tenants and they were all, when we asked them, so what do you want? They told us basically they wanted gold on their roof and silver dining tables and everything else. And what we did, and which is what ACHR helped us so much with, was actually getting all of them to go and visit each other's houses. They had not done that in many, many, many years. And when that happened, what happened was that they had formed we organized them and there was a committee, and then they decided, all right, I think this auntie here, her roof is caving in, I think she should go first, right? So we then set up, together with ACHR, a community development fund that would provide cheap loans to these people. And in return, tenants who were on lease, on a monthly lease, now have got a 10-year lease on a very, very affordable rent that they agreed together with the property owners. This was another project that, that required a lot of innovation technologically, because we had got this amazing bronze, a copper dome, and what happened was that previous restorers, in the goodness of their heart, decided to drill through the copper plates with steel nails, and as a result we had 3,471 holes in the dome. I know this because we actually had to get a restorer in, working together with Oz Heritage, and training our local architects and our local artisans to repair each and every hole. Was a project, interesting project, yeah. All right. At the end of the day, beauty and aesthetics is also quite important. You know, you really also have to be able to distinguish, and that it cannot, not everything has got to be about the urban poor. This was actually 7 shop houses was completely gutted and burned down, and it's now one of the nicest boutique hotels in Penang, called 7 Terraces. We also encourage the aspirational. This is a Buckminster Fuller geodesic dome in Komta area, and we funded a social study for the regeneration of this urban market. Now, what was interesting is that local government officials never ever imagined it was possible to actually socialize the idea of design and planning with the community. And so this is where we felt that art played an important role. So we had a local KL-based artist, Kung Yu, to come into this space and work with all the traders, and then did an exhibition about their aspirations for this space. And that became the terms of reference for the architects. So I think that's where art plays a small role. Cultural mapping projects, we did books on this is also another slowly catch the monkey approach. So we would support book projects, working together with the community. We try to work with young people. Supporting this is called the HIP program, Heritage in Penang project. Right? And here you see each and every neighborhood and individual citizens taking ownership of the city. And I think that's sort of the way to go for Penang. You know, we cannot compete with the bright lights of Kuala Lumpur, nor do we want to. We feel it's very important to be boutique in that sense in our approach, and human scale. Yeah, and that's Kosimbi on the second top right-hand side. And we have Penang Story Lectures, so it's also intellectual in that sense. This is a digital arts festival that we supported to reintroduce the concept of heritage conservation to the young through digital arts. Yeah? Yes, from KL, Suzy Sulaiman, yeah. So we do support people from KL as well, see, yeah. Georgetown Festival, I think the first year Joe had a heartache, a little bit of heartache. He had 6 weeks, and we had all the money, and we didn't really give him any money. Now, the simple reason is this: we felt that it was equally important to support the communities, the weaker communities that actually felt really left out, because because of the nature of the festival, because he only 6 weeks, he had to sort of get everyone up and running to put on shows and participate. Some of the weaker communities couldn't do that. So what we decided to do was that we would put the money in direct support of the communities, to get the communities to interpret their own histories and to then put up a show. And I think that Joe will agree with me that they have done a marvelous job. And I'm very happy to say that after the second year, they are completely independent, because they were able to get a lot of people from the community to support their programs. So this is pictures from the festival. Yeah. Now, another thing that we did, which was quite interesting, was to buck the trend with regards to planning. So we would support projects and programs by, I have to be honest with you, the biggest people and are also the hardest people to convince. And this is actually people in the local council, you know, mayor's office, and my mother's people, because my mother was a civil servant, which was horrible, yeah. She was controlling the finances of the works ministry. But sorry, anyway, yeah, I'm going to finish. Yeah, all right. And so we got them involved in exhibiting their plans. This is Hamdan, our executive director, talking to the tenants. This is actually a thieves market. It's called the thieves market because these are people from the really working class who sell things which may not actually be kosher, like maybe stolen, I don't know. All right. But we organized them as well because we felt that they were also important. Because if you, okay, it's very easy to say, okay, we want this park, chase them away, and they will be chased away. But then you're exporting the problem somewhere else. You're not really dealing with the problem in situ. We also push culture to the boundaries, and in this case, this was actually the celebration of Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore, and because we are a diasporic community, we had a huge problem organizing the Indians in Penang. You know, Indians are very difficult to organize. Sorry about this racial stereotyping. So what we did was, we went out there and said that, look, we went to a Chinese school called the Chungling High School, which is one of the top schools in Penang now, and we said, like, did you know that Rabindranath Tagore, Asia's first Nobel laureate, came to Penang in 1927. He did not go to the great schools like Joe's school, the Penang Free School, or my school, St. Xavier's, but he went to this shop house called Chungling. And why don't we do an essay competition celebrating his 150th anniversary? Then we went to the community in Little India, and we said to them, the Chinese are celebrating Tagore, what about you? You can, if you want to, you don't want to, it doesn't matter, you know, but so this whole concept of interculturalism, and we had the Rabindra Sangeet performance in a clan hall, in a Chinese clan hall, was pushing all the limits. All right, so what was the impact from all this? because we belong to our father is an investment company, we had to try to put figures to our work. Otherwise, it would, it wouldn't cut any ice. So we had to show them that after 12 months, we had 77 number of buildings restored. We had 70.
Sorry, Neil, I think you have to.
All right, finish. All right. So at the end of the day, basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that financing urban regeneration, you've really got to understand that the uses of money must fit in with the end result. It is not, money is not the end by itself. So the lessons here is that you have got to think of the city in all its aspects as a living space, an economic space, and a sustainable space. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you.